Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, January 21st, and I'm your host, Kristen McDonald. It is great to have you with us as we end another week here in Norwood. Early Wednesday morning, Norwood Fire received a call that there was a roof fire at Moderna's Technology Center. Crews responded to the scene and quickly got to work. After clearing the scene, Chief Hayes and the town of Norwood sent out a press release that read, Chief David Hayes reports that the Norwood Fire Department extinguished a small roof fire at Moderna's Technology Center early this morning. At approximately 6 a.m., Norwood Fire responded to Moderna's Technology Center East Building, 1 Investors Way, for a report of a roof fire. Moderna's Technology Center East Building, which is currently unoccupied and under construction, is not currently used for vaccine manufacturing or distribution. Upon arrival, first responders found smoke and flames coming from the roof area of the building. Firefighters conducted an aggressive exterior attack to prevent the fire from spreading within the building. The fire was largely knocked down by approximately 8 a.m. No injuries were reported in the incident. The scene was overhauled and cleared by 8:27 a.m. Mutual aid was provided on scene by the Westwood Fire Department, and station coverage was provided by the Walpole Fire Department. The fire remains under investigation by the Norwood Fire Department, but is believed at this time to be accidental in nature. Also this week, the men and women of the Norwood Fire spent time training on the department's newest piece of equipment, the breathing apparatus. These are an upgrade from the previous tanks that the firefighters have been wearing and provide a lot of new technology to keep them safe.
The accountability tracking you saw discussed in the training is a sea change. We've never had this before. The incident commander's never had the ability to see if somebody's air is not flowing anymore. Now he sees it on a computer in his truck. And we also have the ability to call the people out individually or in mass without tying up radio time. So if something is going wrong in the fire scene, the shift commander pushes a button and everybody's mask vibrates and the alarms go off and everybody has to acknowledge and they have to come out of the building. In the past, that's been done with air horns, horns blowing, and radio calls. So that's a giant change. The pack trackers, massive improvement. We've never had the ability to find a firefighter who's been down before. It was always a search or use of this, a pass device, which is basically a motion detector in reverse. It detects non-motion. Once it's activated, if you let it sit for 2 minutes or so, that alarm goes off, lights start to go off, and it calls attention to the downed firefighter. That's all we had before. Now we can lock in on a specific air tank, air mask, breathing apparatus, and hunt that guy down, like a LoJack for firefighters. It's one of the best things I think I've ever seen in the fire department.
This equipment, which will be used by every member of the department, cost just above $500,000. Chief Hayes explains how the project was funded.
Municipal budgets being what they are, we can't afford to replace them on time on a schedule. We happen to get a $380,000 federal grant for the basics of the air packs, and the town meeting was generous enough, and I really can't say thank you enough to all these voters, to provide another $405,000 to complete the projects.
As the training goes on through the week, Chief Hayes has noticed a lot of excitement from the firefighters about their new safety equipment.
As we go through training, I think we see more and more excitement. The rank and file of the firefighters wasn't, they were involved in the evaluation process, but they weren't really talking about the features. They were thinking it was a standard air pack. You breathe it and you change it when you need to. During this training, I think the reality of the safety enhancements, the pack tracking, is hitting home with these guys, and I'm seeing great levels of excitement. Downstairs, we're going to see fit testing. We got this through a grant. Deputy John Cody applied for the grant last year. We got that, and we bought a fit tester. It's required by OSHA every year that everybody that wears breathing apparatus in IDLH atmospheres, immediately danger to life and health, I shouldn't say IDLH, has to be tested every year to make sure their mask fits and works properly. So we bought this computer. You'll see it in use downstairs as the guys go through their test, and they do some motion testing and some of this and some of that, and they'll get a result. Very important, and it's something we haven't been able to do until this year.
Thanks, Chief Hayes, for the update. Stay tuned after this break for a few new town department features and a big 150th celebration update. Welcome back. Concert on the Common Committee co-chair Paul Easy delivered some very exciting news at the Board of Selectmen meeting on Tuesday night.
150th Anniversary Committee and the Sunday concerts joining together to bring the Pops to Norwood, Massachusetts. And we're talking about the real Pops, the Boston Pops. So I just want to say that I want to recognize someone because I feel like it's important. Now this person, she's not here tonight, but more than 30 years ago when the Common was vacant, there was no bandstand, she pioneered to get that bandstand built. And then after the bandstand was built, she got all her friends together and she said, let's start a concert program. John Carroll and her worked so hard to started this concerts on the Common. And every single year, and this is the truth, for the last 27 years, she's brought up, let's bring the Pops to Norwood. So I want to recognize her because I want to say to Ollie Abdullah, finally, the Pops night is coming to Norwood. So if this happens, and I know it's tentative and it's preliminary, and I don't know if Tony Mazzullo can touch base on it, but I think that night is going to be a special night and it will be a tribute to Olga Abdullah.
Hopefully that plan comes together and the residents of Norwood will be able to enjoy this long-standing Boston tradition from their own backyard. Late last week, the Norwood Light Department announced a new online feature that allows residents to track power outages. This electric outage map provides up-to-date information on what neighborhoods are impacted and gives estimates on when the power will be restored. Electrical engineer at the Light Department, Nate Pusey, explains the new system.
Hi, my name is Nate Pusey. I'm an electrical engineer at Norwood Light, and I'm here to talk about our new public outage map that we just rolled out. So we use a company called Data Capable, and they produce outage maps and other data gathering sources for public utilities and private utilities all across the country. And right here we have an example of the one we have for Norwood. So on the map you'll see a little blip every time there's an outage, and each blip's color represents the number of customers that are affected by an outage. So the darker the color, there's actually a legend that shows you how many people are out. Each outage is going to put a blip on the approximate area. It's not going to show exactly where it is. It will just show like an approximate area, so people won't know like which house exactly, but they'll get an idea of the area of town that the outage has occurred in. So on the left, you'll see each outage blip will correspond to an event, and in the event you can click the info and it will tell you an approximate time that it should be restored if we know, and what caused the outage of what we know so far. So if we're still investigating, you'll see like investigating. If we know around the time's going to be back, we'll put that information in there for people to see. And people can also, when they click this, they can subscribe to the outage and get a text alert when the outage is restored. So if people get a text that it's restored and they're still out, we definitely encourage them to call. The map also allows customers to report their own, if they see something or if they have an outage at their house, they can report it and it'll send an email to us about the report. In addition to reporting electric outages, so for electric, we encourage people to report if they see like a flash or a bang, and also always call us if there's an issue. But they can also report broadband outages, so if they have an issue with their broadband service, they can report that as well, and that'll email to anyone that's associated with broadband, and they can respond accordingly. We definitely encourage people, if they ever have an issue, to call us. That's always the quickest way for us to get back to people. But we're hoping that this will be a tool people can use to have a better clarity of what's going on in the field, and for us to communicate to them and them to communicate to us, giving us more transparency.
And now we'll toss it over to Livy Bedard for this week's school news.
Hi guys, I'm Livy Bedard, and let's take a look at some activities happening in our Norwood schools this week. In Norwood High School news, the counseling department held their annual college planning night for juniors and their parents. Representatives from Michigan State and Framingham State were guests and provided insight to the process. The program will be broadcast on NCM, and a video link will be available. Third graders at the Balch have been working on some creative projects. First, they designed and created their own personal snow globes. Students wrote descriptions of their snow globes, which included what they would like the weather to be like, what activities they would do, and who would be in their snow globes with them. Balch third graders also worked hard developing their computer skills as they created their own vision boards. After being inspired by the words of Kid President, students brainstormed goals and resolutions for both at home and in school. The best part was that many of the students' resolutions showed kindness towards others. At the Prescott School, say hello to students in Mrs. Rathier's first grade class. Technology in the Norwood Public Schools starts in preschool and creates many educational opportunities that makes learning fun. These students have been having a lot of fun learning a new gaming website called Bluekit. Bluekit takes quizzes created by teachers and provides them in a game format for students. Students get to play in different game formats like Fishing Frenzy, Crypto Hack, and Gold Quest. They play versus each other live in the classroom, and their avatars are ranked. Here are students in room 15 at the Prescott playing Bluekit during phonics to practice digraphs, a combination of two letters representing one sound.
What kind of fruit is that? So what's the last two letters of peach? Okay. Come on. Yeah, correct. Okay, so Rose, guess her
These videos demonstrate how technology can help with new methods of learning. Nice job by Mrs. Rathier's class. Preschoolers had lots of fun learning about penguins this week at the Little Mustangs Preschool Academy. They have learned lots of interesting facts about penguins, including that they are birds but they cannot fly. During the circle time, they read penguin stories and sang 5 Little Penguins with the help of the touch view screen. Students waddled around the classroom like penguins and did a little penguin dance using their flipper arms. During art, students had fun painting with colored ice cubes and making black footprint penguins on their papers. Preschoolers worked on their fine motor skills by sorting small erasers with polar animals on them. They had fun making penguin snowman patterns as a group and counting penguins on the touch viewed board. The best part was playing with ice cubes and penguins at the sensory table. Students had so much fun walking their penguins up a tall iceberg and sliding them on their bellies back into the water. It was a fun week to be a Little Mustang. Students at the Callahan School surprised their principal, Donna Brown, with a nice and loud version of Happy Birthday. Let's listen in. Happy birthday, Principal Brown. And finally, just a reminder that Tuesday, January 25th, is a half day for all schools. Well, that's it for school news. There's something interesting happening in our classrooms every day, and thanks to all the educators who share their news with us. Well, let's go to Mike Maloof with the latest in winter sports.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Update. Thursday of this week, Dr. Galligan announced that spectator restrictions for home events has been lifted. This is for venues that are allowing access to fans. Unfortunately, some venues still have restrictions at this time. Blue Hills for swim is not allowing any spectators, and the Reggie Lewis Center for track are allowing 2 parents per athlete. Athletes, please check with your coaches for opponent venue policies. Boys and girls basketball continued to beat up on their competition this week. The girls had 3 games starting with Medway, which was a battle of the 2 top teams in the TVL. Norwood showed their dominance, coming away with a 58-42 win. Then they took on Hopkinton, winning 54-17, and Dover-Sherborne winning 51-37. Boys basketball had 2 very strong defensive performances this week, keeping their opponents to under 50 points. First was a 57-46 win over Medway, then a 64-42 win over Dover-Sherborne. Then they hit the road to neighboring Walpole for an old-school rivalry game, and the fans packed the gym. The Mustangs got out front early with a couple of timely threes by captain Joey Steves and never looked back. Walpole fought to the end, but Norwood came away with the 65-54 win, led by 30 points from Noah Beaudet. Girls hockey hit the ice for 3 games this week, starting with a 3-0 win against rival Dedham on Saturday. Then the girls traveled to Boston College to take on St. Joe's Mount Alvernia in an out-of-league matchup. Freshman Bridget Conley scored her first varsity goal, leading the Mustangs to another 3-0 victory. Then it was back home against Milton on Wednesday night. It was an all-around great performance by the Mustangs with 5 different goal scorers as the girls beat Milton 5-1. Boys hockey hit a little bump in the road earlier this week as they dropped their first 2 games of the year. First was a 3-0 loss to Medway and then a 6-1 loss against Milton. But then on Wednesday they got back on track, rolling over Dover-Sherborne with a 10-2 win. The wrestling team had 2 hard matches this week, the first being a 56-21 loss against Oliver Ames. And then on Wednesday the boys celebrated their seniors before their match against Hopkinton. The Mustangs worked hard in every match but eventually fell short by a score of 50-30. After a thrilling victory against Norwell last week, the boys and girls of the swim team were at home this week against Ashland. Both teams worked hard, but the girls eventually lost 93-76, and the boys lost 92-64. And finally, gymnastics had the week off, but they'll be back at it on the 23rd against Norton. That's all for sports this week. Make sure to watch the Bulletin Board channel or follow us on social media for broadcast times. Kristen, back to you.
Thanks, Mike. In government, the Board of Selectmen met Tuesday evening in the Selectmen Chambers. Following Paul Eastey's presentation, Jerry Miller and Ernie Pachakowski appeared before the board to share details about Norwood's 150th celebrations. On February 26th, the Skating Club of Boston will host a celebratory show for Norwood's anniversary featuring competitive skaters. Tickets are available for $10 each at the Civic Center, Town Hall, the Senior Center, and the library. The last appointment of the evening met with the board in a hybrid format to discuss public safety measures and permitting matters. The board meets again next Tuesday. The Conservation Commission met in a hybrid format Wednesday evening. The Commission held public hearings for applicants located on Plantation Circle, Access Road, and Codman Road. The group discussed potential violations on Ridgewood Drive, Access Road, and Washington Street. Commission members analyzed stormwater bylaw details and started to review the FY23 budget. Before adjournment, the Commission discussed an updated CPC report and shared ideas for the Norwood 150th celebration. The Commission meets next in February. The Commission on Disability met remotely Thursday afternoon. The group discussed exciting updates to the Commission website, including a list of helpful resources for community members. Members also reviewed additional changes made to the working draft of the community survey. The group meets again in February. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break for more town news. Welcome back. The Health Department has launched a new interactive COVID-19 data dashboard on their website. This feature provides residents with a new way to view the latest COVID data with 3 pages of information. The first page provides case metrics, testing metrics, and vaccine metrics, along with a 14-day case count chart that covers the past 6 months. Page 2 breaks down the cases by race and ethnicity, age groups, and by sex. And the final page covers vaccination information by age group, sex, and race and ethnicity. All this information is interactive, meaning residents can hover their mouse over each section to enlarge the info or choose a different sorting method. Thank you to the Health Department for this new and improved way to report this information. Looking ahead at the annual town election in April, the town clerk's office has announced that there are 33 vacancies in each town meeting district. If you are interested in putting your name on the ballot for the first time, please file nomination papers with the town clerk. These nomination papers must be signed by at least 10 people. Any incumbent town meeting members seeking re-election should file the intent to seek re-election paperwork with the town clerk. All paperwork is due by 5 p.m. on Monday, February 14th. For additional questions, please contact the town clerk, Mary Lou Foland, at 781-762-1240, extension 6026 or 6027. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.